Hi guys, hope all's well. So in today's video, I want to talk about why, in my opinion, Yamal is a level above guys like Raphinha and Dembele. Now, when you ask people who is the best player in the world, some people might say Dembele because he won the Ballon d'Or, he won the Champions League. Some people might say Raphinha. A lot of Barca fans think Raphinha is above Yamal and that he should have won the Ballon d'Or. And some people think Yamal. Some people see Yamal as the best player right now and that he should have won the Ballon d'Or for last season. The reason why people prefer Raphinha or Dembele is mainly because of goals. Raphinha scored a lot more goals in the Champions League. Dembele scored a lot more goals in leagues than Yamal. And Yamal has 9 league goals, so people make fun of that especially. Now, if you think they're better because of that, that's completely fine. But one thing that people don't put much focus on or much emphasis on is how horrible, yes, horrible, both Dembele's and Raphinha's international career are. Believe me, it is much worse than you think, and the reason being is people miss on certain key points that they don't really consider or they don't realize how important it is, which I'm going to explain in this video. Now, everyone knows Yamal internationally is a better player, but again, people don't know how horrible Raphinha and Dembele are internationally. Believe me, they are really horrible, and it is unacceptable. Like, they stand out in a negative and not a good way. So let's start with Raphinha, right? So Raphinha is 29 years old, so this guy is not a youngster anymore. He's in his prime age. Now, people know that Raphinha is not a great performer for Brazil, like we all know that. However, what people don't really put much focus on is the fact that this guy missed out on the 2018 World Cup, as in he was not selected for the national team, as well as the 2019 and 2021 Copa Americas. So this guy missed three tournaments. And people might say, well, why are you focusing on this? I mean, the guy was young, he was not good enough, and then once he started to become good enough, then he was selected. But you see, that is the problem, because he was not good enough, so then he was not selected. And I believe that this should have some sort of consequence of this. Like, you can't just count the games where the players played or the players were selected. No, you also have to consider when they weren't selected, because to me, it just shows you are not good enough for your national team. You weren't even good enough to be a bench player. And again, it's not like I picked when they were at their very, very young age or when they were teenagers. No, Raphinha in 2018 was still like 21 years old, so that's pretty alright. Like, and this guy started for Sporting. He played enough games. He even had 15 league goals, which is good. But again, he was not good enough to be selected in the national team, and I believe that should count as some sort of consequence, right? And also in 2019 and 2021 Copa Americas, he was not selected. And in 2021, the guy was like what? The guy was like 24 years old. Like, that is a pretty good age. He's not like 19 years old anymore. And he's played enough league games or enough games for his club to be considered whether to play or not. But he didn't get to play for Brazil in those times, and I believe there has to be some sort of consequence for this. But even then, if you count even the games where he didn't play at all or he was not selected, that would be 27 World Cup / Copa America games. And guess how many goals he scored? 0 goals. And again, he missed a lot of those games, but there should be some sort of consequence. But even the games in which he played, which were 9, and I believe that's decent enough, he did not score any goals. And he only created 3 big chances, which, all things considered, is not impressive at all. And he has 0 trophies, and he never reached a final. Now, things could change in the 2026 World Cup, sure, but until then, this is how his international career stands out. And yes, he is very overrated in my opinion, because of how he performs internationally, because of how many times he missed for to be selected in his national side, and how he just was not good enough for those. Now Dembele is a weird one because he won the World Cup, right? And he reached 2 World Cup finals, or his team at least. And this guy is 28 years old. He's not a youngster anymore. So he missed out on the 2016 Euro. But, he was very young, so you could let it slide. But I still believe that there should be some sort of black mark, but whatever. Now, he missed on the 2021 Nations League. Now, you could say because he was injured, it's not really his fault, but still, availability has to be a key factor, because if your team manages to reach finals and score goals without you, then it really says a lot about how you were important for your team. And trust me, Dembele was not important for France in those times, like not even close, right? So if you count even the games where he completely missed out on, whether it's injury or he was not even selected, right, in his prime age, or ever since he was no longer a teenager, that would be 59 games. So he only has 2 goals and 7 big chances created in 59 World Cup or Euro or Nations League games. That is a horrible ratio. That is truly horrible. But you want to know what's the worst thing about it, which is something at least Raphinha doesn't have, is that Dembele has a massive availability issue. So since 2017, Dembele has been like a top player, a top talent. Unlike Raphinha, he was not really like a top talent up until maybe like 2021, right? But Dembele has been ever since 2017, so like pretty much right away. But his availability is what drags him down, and oh man, his availability is bollocks. It is horrible. He didn't play in 32 out of those 59 games. 54% of those he completely missed. He didn't even play like a single minute. Completely missed. Whether it's injury or he was benched or he just was not good enough. 32 out of 59, more than 50%. And you're telling me that this shouldn't be like some sort of an issue, that this shouldn't be some sort of a black mark on his career, or that this shouldn't bring him some sort of consequence? No, it absolutely should. And this is why I believe it is much more horrible than you think, especially for Raphinha and Dembele. And you cannot use the arguments where they didn't play for good national sides, because a lot of Ronaldo fans typically bring up someone like Haaland because of how he plays for Norway and how he's unlucky, and you have to rely on his Champions League legacy or his league legacy or his club legacy, right? But no, Dembele plays for France. We already know France reached back-to-back World Cups. Automatically, they are a great side. And Raphinha, people might shit on Brazil. Brazil might not be as good as they used to be, but in 2018, they had the most points in the qualifiers, in the World Cup qualifiers. In 2022, they also had the most points in the qualifiers. And they even reached the 2021 final. They won the 2019 Copa America. So no, Brazil in those times were really, really great. And there's a reason why Raphinha was not good enough to be chosen for the national side, because they were that good. They were not bad, they were good. Not as good as their previous generations, but they were still pretty great, right? So the excuse where they played for bad nations is already out of the question. They might be great for their clubs, but internationally they are really horrible. And that is why Yamal is above them, in my opinion. Because even though his club career might be a little bit worse than Raphinha's and Dembele's, but his international legacy is far better. And this guy is 18 years old, but he never missed out on any tournament, which is a very great thing. Now, he might miss out later on. You'll never know. Injury, maybe he's not good enough. We will never know. But so far, as of 18 years old, this guy never missed out. And he was the young MVP for the 2024 Euro. That says a lot. And he had a great campaign, even if people want to say he had an overrated campaign or that he only scored 1 goal. But still, he had a great campaign. He was beneficial for his team. You can't say the same for Raphinha or Dembele. Now, here's where it's really great, because Yamal, he performs for his team, but he also doesn't have that availability issue, unlike Dembele. 4 goals, 13 big chances created in 17 Euro/Nations League games. Now, he has never played a World Cup game yet. He will play in 2026, so we'll see how it goes. But as of now, the guy has 4 goals, 13 big chances created. That's an exactly 1 ratio. That's a really great. That's awesome. Like, compare this to Dembele, it's horrible. Compare this to Raphinha, the guy never even scored a goal, and he missed out on a lot of tournaments where he wasn't even selected. And again, Yamal won a Euro, and he also reached a Nations League final. So in terms of trophies, his contribution was far greater than someone like Dembele's. Dembele didn't do anything in the 2018 World Cup win, and he barely did anything for the 2022 World Cup campaign. So yeah, for me, their international legacy is the main reason why Yamal is simply a level above Raphinha and Dembele. Now, we're months away from the 2026 World Cup. Things could change. Raphinha could perform amazingly, we will never know. Dembele also could perform amazingly, we will never know up until it happens. But as of right now, Raphinha and Dembele, even though they are a whole decade older than Yamal, and yet Yamal has a much better legacy than both of them. But also both of them have a horrible and atrocious international career and legacy. And that's pretty much about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or whether you disagree. And until next time.